Welcome to the deep dive from Royal Media.
Great to be here.
So imagine this. You head to your usual store, maybe Walmart or Target, and, well, the shelves are looking a bit bare.
Yeah, it sounds pretty dramatic, doesn't it?
It does, but it's a possibility being flagged by some really major U.S. retailers right now. We're going to get into some reported warnings from the CEOs of Walmart and Target directly to President Trump.
And it's all tied to these ongoing tariff policies.
Exactly. So our goal today is, to really understand what these warnings are about, the sort of economic factors behind them, and importantly, what it could actually mean for you, the consumer.
Right, because it's one thing to talk about trade policy, it's another to see how it might, physically change your shopping experience. Makes it very real.
It really does. Okay, so CBS News is reporting that the heads of Walmart and Target, they've privately warned the president. They're talking about potentially seeing empty shelves, maybe even in the coming weeks.
Wow, weeks? That's soon.
Yeah. And they're apparently pointing the finger squarely at the administration's tariff policies as the root cause.
Mm-hmm. And it's probably worth clarifying, we're mainly talking about the tariffs between the U.S. and China here, right? These aren't just small taxes.
No, not at all.
They're described as pretty significant, prohibitive even, and they go both ways. It really restricts the flow of goods between the two biggest economies.
It's like creating a massive hurdle for trade, yeah. Discouraging imports and exports. American companies trying to sell to China are hit too, of course.
Sure, but the immediate concern raised by these CEOs seems to be about goods coming into the U.S.
Right. And we actually have some data that seems to back this up from the West Coast ports, specifically Los Angeles.
Ah, the port data.
Yeah.
That's usually a pretty solid indicator of trade flow, isn't it? What's it showing?
Well, reports are suggesting a, frankly, potentially huge drop in cargo coming from China to the U.S. We're talking maybe a 33% fall this week alone.
33%? That's massive.
And it could get worse, maybe a 44% drop in the first week of May.
Okay, so those are not minor fluctuations. That signals a really significant slowdown. You have to ask, what happens when that much less stuff is arriving?
Well, the BBC News report we looked at calls this kind of drop a serious hit to the world economy. But let's bring it back home, like you said, for you listening.
Yeah, what does it mean practically?
It could mean exactly what Walmart and Target are worried about.
Yeah.
Gaps on the shelves. You go to buy something you usually get, maybe an ingredient for dinner, maybe some household staple, and it's just not there.
And retail supply chains, they operate on pretty tight schedules, right? A big drop in incoming cargo means less inventory pretty quickly. It doesn't take long for those disruptions to become visible.
Leads to stockouts.
Exactly. And it's not just about the inconvenience either. Basic economics tells us reduced supply, same demand. Well, that can push prices up for whatever is available.
Right, another potential knock-on effect.
Yeah.
But interestingly, amidst these warnings, the initial reports did mention maybe a slight softening, a little glimmer of hope.
Oh.
There's talk, apparently, of a possible meeting between U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and his Chinese counterpart.
Okay, that would be significant. A high-level meeting like that is basically the main way you'd start to de-escalate this kind of trade tension, maybe roll back some tariffs.
It's crucial, yeah, if it happens.
Right, there's the big if. I mean, will the meeting actually go ahead? Will China even agree to participate under the current circumstances?
And what would the conditions be? What's on the table? We just don't know yet.
So a lot of uncertainty still hangs over the whole situation.
Definitely. But these warnings from huge retailers like Walmart and Target, they really drive home how, global economic policy isn't abstract. It can hit very close to home.
Absolutely. It shows the direct line from international trade disputes to what you might or might not find on your local store shelves.
Okay, so let's quickly recap. We've got major U.S. retailers sounding the alarm about tariffs possibly leading to empty shelves.
Mm-hmm. And that concern seems backed up by some pretty stark data showing a potential dive in shipping from China.
Highlighting just how interconnected everything is and how easily disruptions can ripple through the system, right down to the consumer level.
Yeah, delicate balance.
That wraps up this deep dive from Royal Media. Here's a final thought to leave you with. Beyond just empty shelves, what other, maybe less visible impacts could these ongoing trade tensions have on the price, the quality, or even the types of goods available to you day to day?